Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Jay's Fit Down Podcast. I am your host, Jaden, and today we're going to be recapping Wild Card Weekend here in the 2023 playoffs of the NFL. But before we get started, make sure you guys check out our channel, subscribe if you haven't already. We're here on YouTube, also on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your favorite audio podcasts. You can check us out there. Without further ado, let's begin. Let's get started. Wild Card Weekend kicked off with the Texans and the Browns, and also we had the Packers and Cowboys, which was on Saturday. And these games, both of these games were upsets, I guess you could say, in a way, kind of. I mean, the Texans were not expecting to even be here this year, by many, but I did pick them to win a playoff game and get to the playoffs all the way in the offseason last year. And it's on one of these episodes of my podcast. So, I just knew that with a young talented team like this, and with a fiery head coach who's known for his defensive background and getting the best out of guys, and going to be physical and aggressive, and I just knew a team like the Houston Texans, they can make it because they have nothing to lose. They had nothing to lose. They weren't supposed to be here, and they end up making it here. So even if they did lose, it's like, well, it was we weren't even supposed to be here, but they kept fighting, and they won very important games throughout the season that they were supposed to win, and ended up getting them here. C.J. Stroud played a great game. He had 275 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, no picks, 157.2 QBR. Very impressive for a rookie in his playoff debut. I was very fascinated with how he was playing. Bobby Slowick and the offensive staff for Houston had a great game plan, attacking that Browns defense. The pass rush for Cleveland was pretty much non-existent in this game. I don't think Stroud was sacked once, if I'm not mistaken. Myles Garrett didn't have much of an impact. The pass rush just really wasn't existent in this game for the Browns, and that ended up serving a problem because they gave up 40 something points to the Houston Texans. And Joe Flacco, of course, his Cinderella story, his magical Disney run ended that night. In Houston, he was supposed to be the savior. Lift the Browns out of this the mess that they've been in for pretty much the good majority of their existence as a franchise. And he couldn't do it. He couldn't do it, and that ends the story for Joe Flacco for this season. But I will say this, man, kudos to him for coming out there and in the middle of the year and signing with them and playing them, getting them winning 6 games or whatever. That he did, getting them to this spot in the playoffs. He was a big part of that as well, because they lost a bunch of players to injury. So Nick Chubb, among others, so, that was impressive to see him do that. But Texans get the win. They're going to play Baltimore in the divisional round next week, and I picked the Ravens to win. I picked the Ravens to win the Super Bowl all the way. This has been they've been my pick the whole year, and I'm not changing it. I think they're going to beat Houston. They're going to beat them. That defense for Baltimore is very formidable. Can the Texans put up a competitive game? Possibly, but in the end, I think Baltimore will win this football game. But hey, great run for the Texans and Stroud. I'm interested to see what they do against Baltimore this weekend. And also, like I said, you got the Packers and Cowboys. Packers ended up destroying Dallas in Dallas. Where the Cowboys have been undefeated at home since 2022, week 1. The Cowboys just looked atrocious defensively. They couldn't stop anything. Guys were running wide open, and a bunch of coverage busts, and Dak Prescott, like usual, just folded up and play like the usual Dak that we know him to be in the playoffs. Dakota Dak Prescott, cowgirl Dak Prescott. That's how he played, and he just was awful through 2 picks, and he didn't really start playing, I guess, well, stat wise until the game was already out of reach. It was over. He just started stat padding. So, Cowboys get eliminated again. Mike McCarthy is most likely going to be fired, which he should be. Dak Prescott should no longer be the quarterback for the Cowboys. If you're asking me, that's just my opinion. I think the Cowboys are trash, and a trash organization for keeping Dak Prescott around, because he is just not a franchise quarterback. He's not a franchise quarterback. He is a regular season player, and he cannot play. The ultimate goal in the NFL, for the good majority of teams and players, is to win a Super Bowl. Go to the playoffs, win a Super Bowl. continue to build on that resume, right? Continue to build that up, make the Hall of Fame, whatever. Yeah. Like, Dak Prescott to me doesn't seem like that's one of his goals because he just does not play good at all. I mean, the Cowboys have a talented roster year in and year out. I mean, all these great players they come in on offense, guys like Michael Gallup and Tony Pollard and CeeDee Lamb, and defensively Micah Parsons, Deron Bland, Leighton Vander Esch, all these guys. They have a talented roster. The problem is not talent for Dallas. It's just they just don't know how to win and how to compete when it matters the most, and they can't do it. They're incapable of doing so, and they've shown this the last 5-6 years, especially since Dak's been the starting quarterback. So it's an issue, and the only way it's going to get addressed is if Jerry Jones is not the owner anymore, because he for some reason has this type of weird affection for Dak Prescott, for like Dak could throw 7 interceptions in one game and completely throw. He was like, yeah, well, Dak Prescott, he's our quarterback. He's the guy who's gonna continue to lead us to the promised land. We have faith in him, and it's all this stuff. It's like, dude, at what point are you gonna sit down and understand that this guy cannot do anything? He's not an NFL franchise quarterback. He's not a $40 million quarterback. He shouldn't get paid like one. So he should stick to the sleep, the mattress commercials. What the I don't even know what it's called. Whatever those sleep well commercials, the sleep number, whatever it's called, those mattresses. He should stick to those because that's where he should be making the most of his money. Because in the NFL, he should be really making. No, this is my Dak Prescott rant. I really don't like Dak Prescott as a quarterback. Great guy, great humble guy, but on the field he just cannot produce. So moving off of that note, the Packers, are going to advance to play the San Francisco 49ers in the divisional round, and we all know San Francisco is going to clobber them. Now granted, Dallas has a supposed good defense too. I mean, they do have, like I said, the talented players on the defense, talented players overall. Yet Green Bay put up 48 points. I don't think they're going to do that against San Francisco because San Francisco just, they just are a very formidable defensive unit, led under Steve Wilkes. So it's, I mean, at most, the Packers might put up maybe 14 or 20 points at the max. I don't think they're going over that. It's going to be a very tough game for Jordan Love, in that, especially with no true dominant wideout right out there for them, Romeo Dobbs and Jaden Davis. They're talented players, but you need a guy out there that's going to go out there and really, if you're going to play teams like the 49ers, and they don't have that right now for the Packers. So I think the 49ers can win this game. I mean, they're my pick to go to represent the NFC in the Super Bowl. So I think they're going to win the rest of the way out. And then on the other side of the NFC, you got the Lions and the Bucks will be playing each other in the division round. Bucks beat Eagles pretty badly last night on Monday Night Football. There, Eagles just looked completely horrible. Guys were missing tackles. I mean, it was got a coverage bust. This looked like nobody wanted to play football that night. It looks like everybody wanted to be home, eating some ice cream and just playing Fortnite or something. They looked like they wanted to be out there. And it showed. Nick Sirianni and his staff. I mean, a lot of questionable. Since the Eagles have been 10-1 earlier in the year, they just really have not been the same. I don't know what internally is the issue. What's going on? People could have attributed to coaching, attributed to Jalen Hurts not being a vocal leader, this, that, and the third. And I don't know exactly what the main cause of it is, but there's something internal going on to where it's like that team just isn't. They don't want to play football. They don't want to. They don't want to win, and it showed last night. So very disappointing for Eagles fans, but I think at this point, Jeffrey Lurie has got to make some moves in that office with Nick Sirianni and that coaching staff. You got to do something. So that's my opinion. And on the other side, Tampa Bay, Baker Mayfield looking pretty good. Baby Bake doing his thing, and and it's crazy. It's like Mike Evans even have really one of his better games. He had a couple of drops, potential touchdowns. Had really one specific play. It really should have been a touchdown. Baker left it right in the breadbasket. He just dropped it. But I have a feeling he's not going to have that same type of performance against the Lions. in the divisional round. So, uh, yeah, I honestly think between this game, it's going to be hard to pick because the Bucks are very talented. They've gotten better, in the latter part of the season, and little things that they might have to clean up. But other than that, like if Baker has good protection and Dave Canales continues calling his that good offensive game plan that he had like against the Eagles, then who knows? Bucks could end up winning this game. I mean, it'll be very cool to see that. See Baker take the Bucks to an NFC Championship game. But I mean, realistically, I just don't know if that's going to happen. Uh, Granted, the Lions secondary hasn't been the best this year. That's something that so if they're going to win, they're going to have to generate pressure with their front four. They're going to have to get after the quarterback because they barely won against the Rams and Matthew Stafford the other night. In the wild card, and by a point they won. So if you could argue a few calls went certain ways and this and that. So for the Lions, they're going to have to clean up on some stuff, and they're going to have to generate pressure on Baker Mayfield if they're going to, you know, win this game. So that'll be one of the more interesting matchups in the divisional round. And then you split to the AFC. Again, we have the Chiefs and the Bills in the divisional round. Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen. We all know the script writers love it. Blah blah blah. Anyway, so they get to hear Tony Romo, glaze Patrick Mahomes for 3 hours. Yay! But anyway, yeah. So we got the Bills and Chiefs, and Bills really just killed the Steelers in a wild card. So a lot of people, everybody pretty much had the Bills win that game. So they're going to play Kansas City. Difference this time though, Kansas City's going to be on the road in Buffalo. They're going to be on the road in that cold Buffalo weather, and in that stadium, and those loud crazy Bills Mafia. They pack out in the playoffs. So it's going to be a very interesting game. Um, you know, the Chiefs really, if they're going to win that game, they're going to have to make sure they don't have all the issues that were bothering them earlier in the year with the drops and all that stuff and inconsistent play from the receiver position. Um, they're going to have to that can't be an issue. Like everything's going to have to be working on a chord. Defense is going to have to continue to play the way they've been playing because they pretty much have to carry Kansas City most of this year. And it could be that way this time around. I'm not sure. I just know for a fact that they're not going to win if they're Kadarius Toney and Rasheed Rice and all these guys are just dropping wide open passes and stuff like that's not going to work. So we'll see what happens on that front. But yeah, I'm picking the Bills to win this game. I just don't think Kansas City got it. Patrick Mahomes away from Arrowhead in the playoffs. I don't know about that. It really helps to be at home. And I think Josh Allen and the Bills are going to take that win and play the Ravens in the AFC Championship game. So that's my pick for the divisional round weekend. So switching to other gears, though, it news around the league. Of course, the Bill Belichick's, head coaching searching cycle has continued. He's been talking with a lot of teams, most notably though the Falcons have interviewed him. And nothing is imminent as far as hiring, but there's mutual interest reportedly on both sides, according to various sources close to the team. I don't want Bill Belichick here coaching. At most he's going to coach like 3 years. We need somebody who's going to come in and develop a plan, longevity wise. Like I want a guy like Ben Johnson or somebody like that, right? Somebody to come in and coach. That's a young coach, offensive coach that knows how to use his weapons and everything like that. Bill, well, all the respect to him, one of the greatest to ever do it at the coaching, the head coach position. Won 6 Super Bowls, but still, I don't want him here. So that's my thing. So yeah, Saints have also fired offensive coordinator Pete Carmichael. And a few other assistant coaches as well. I thought they were going to fire Dennis Allen. They should, considering just how the team has just been performing since he took over as head coach. But we'll see. We'll see how that goes. So other than that, guys, Chargers have interviewed Jim Harbaugh as well. We all know he's not leaving Michigan. So we do this every single year. Like he interviews with the team. There's like, oh, Harbaugh's gonna go coach the NFL, and then he comes back to Michigan. And, it's a big cycle. I don't think he's going to. I really don't think he's going to leave Michigan. I could be wrong, but we're gonna wait from where I see things right now, it just doesn't seem likely that he's going to head to the NFL coach. So that's just my whole take on that. But we'll see what happens. It'll be interesting. This has been a great playoffs. I mean, like I said, it's been interesting. To see these different teams get in it. See teams like the Texans and the Packers win a playoff game. And it's always a joy to see Dallas just choke and fold like every year. It's music to my ears. I love seeing it. Wonderful sight. Uh, so yeah, it's been a great playoff so far. Hopefully it continues. But thank you guys again for tuning into the episode, checking us out here on YouTube. We're also on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all these other podcast platforms that you get your episodes from. We're on there. Check us out. Search us up. Follow us on Twitter at Jay's Fifth Down Pod and Instagram as well. Same thing, Jay's Fifth Down Pod. And make sure you do that there. And also subscribe to our channel here. Subscribe to the channel here. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Give me your predictions for the divisional round matchups. Any other thoughts that you guys have, like, where should Bill Belichick land to be the head coach at? What other team should what is his next team that he's going to coach? Let me know what you think in the comments, and we'll see you next time on Jay's Foot Down. Thank you.